Yeah, today we are going to discuss about OOPS concept, object-oriented concepts. So let's see, OOPS concepts. So are you able to see, right? Shall I need to increase up?
No, sir. I can see.
Yes. Okay. So what is OOPS concept? OOPS full form. What is the OOPS full form?
Object-oriented program.
Object-oriented program.
We used to have in 432 BTech third year, second sem.
Okay.
CO and OP. Separate, sir.
Okay. Object-oriented program. Java. So so the concept refers to the programming language used uh, that use of objects in programming. So basically, it is a separate concept which is used in the programming language. So any programming language, we can use this object-oriented concepts. So it has already I told you previously that introduced by someone. Um, this concept has introduced to solve the real world problems. Okay. So concept refers to programming languages that use objects in programming. That use objects in programming. Okay. They use objects as a primary source to implement what is happening in the code. So objects are seen for by the viewer and the user performing tasks you again assign. Okay. So the aim of the object-oriented programming is to implement real-world entities like inheritance, hiding, polymorphism, etc. So in programming language, to implement these concepts, we have the object-oriented programming. The main aim of OOPS is to bind together the data and the functions that operate on them so that no other part of the code can access this data except the function, except that function. So what we are doing here is what we are doing here. So we are binding the data. Okay. So we are binding the data here. The primary use of primary the primary and they use object as a primary source. Object objects as a primary source. So to implement to implement what is to happen. Is to happen. No. Objects are seen by the viewer or user and performing the task you again. So we can see that objects are seen by viewer or user performing perform your. So this is the 2 points, and the one more point is the main aim is aim. Aim to implement real world problem, real world entities. To solve the real world problems, we have to create the real world entities like inheritance, inheritance, hiding polymorphism, hiding polymorphism, morphism. So in programming, etc., in programming language, we have to um, so that is another point is um, the main big aim is the main aim is to bind together data, the data and the functions together, the data and the functions that that operate operate on them on them so that uh, so that no other part of code can access, no other part of code can access this, this data except the that function, except that function action. Okay. So this is a main the object oriented concept. So use of objects and classes in Java. There is some example how it will be used. So we'll see. So so four pillars of Java OOPS concept is abstraction, encapsulation, and polymorphism. Inheritance and polymorphism. So these are the four pillars of the OOPS concept. So we'll see one by one. First, earlier we have discussed just what is what about. So we'll clearly discuss about the each and individual concept. So classes and objects in Java. So what is the class and what is the object? So as we know, we have seen that in the previous classes. So what is class? A class can contains the a class is a class contains the data members and member functions, right? So a class contains the data members and member functions, and it's a defined blueprint or a prototype from which objects are created. So it represents a set of properties or methods that are common to all objects of one type. So using the classes, we can create multiple objects with the same behavior. So instead of writing their code multiple times, this includes the classes for objects occurring more than once in your code. So the general and class declarations can be include these components in order. So modifiers, class names, and what. Okay. So it's about the class. Let's see just one example of class and objects. So I have taken a class numbers. So here what I'm trying to do is, so here that I have taken the few properties. One is A and B as that to the private properties, and that I have written the two methods, some subtraction, two methods, and I have written the main method. So I have created the instance of the class, that is object, instance of the class, that is object. Object I have created here for the numbers class. This is the numbers class. I have created the object. So in this class, what I'm trying to do is I'm accessing the properties and assigning the values to the properties. So here I have assigned the values to those properties which are present in this class. So, and I'm calling the methods or functions whichever present in this class. So whichever available in this class, I'm calling that each individual method with the using the instance or object of this particular class. Okay. So if we access it, those will create the so we want to run the code. So just we can run it in. So I'm going to save the numbers. Save numbers. Okay. Run without debugging. So I'm running the code directly without using the so without using the this CLI. I'm just running using the So it has printed the -1, and this is something the value is printed. But the output we have is 3 and -1. We have to, it should have given 3 and -1, but it is given. This is some memory location, I think. So let me check what's happening. So here, yeah, the plus can be used for the concatenation operation, and so if we keep 1 into multiplication, if we see, then we'll see, we'll run the code, go to the run option, run without debugging. It is throwing some stuff. So int a equal to 1, teacher. So what's happening here? System out dot println plus p plus p into some plus call some out. Let's see, that's that. Call the okay. So we are accessing with that class level variables. So what happening here when we are trying to do the operation on the same class level variables, the values are taking is if it is a minus b. What is a minus b? So a is 1 and 2 is b is 2, -1 it will get. Okay. So after that, nothing will be available in this. So we can't access after once. So if we take the larger number like 8, anything like that. So A is 40 and B is 8. So then the data will present somewhat. So here 32 is the answer for the second one, the subtraction. The first one is, it is showing first one, it is showing 31 a plus b, right? A plus b if we taken, let me run directly Java C numbers dot Java. Now compile the file Java numbers. Yeah, some issue with running this code directly. So here what happening is a plus b is 48 and a minus b is 32. Okay, so it is calculating the values. Okay, so that is the thing which we have currently. So what happening while we are running this is the same. What happening is it is showing, I think it is showing, but it is showing here. 48 and 32. This is our output. So up to here, this is the garbage thing. It is running. So here from our output has started here. So if we given any empty println, then it will give the proper output like. So if we given anything like this, so it will give the correct output. We'll see. See, this is our output. Okay. This is all about running the code and all. Okay. So this is it is showing giving the proper output, but it is mixing with this. It is mixing with the above. So this is about how the class here we are creating the object using the new keyword, and this is the constructor default constructor for that class. And we are creating whenever we are creating the object, the those properties of that class, these properties and these methods can be available in this object. So we can access or we can assign the values to those properties and we can access those methods. Okay, this is about object and the class. Okay, so we'll see. We have few minutes left. So next, what is the next? So a class is a user-defined blueprint. We have seen earlier what is a class. Uh, so in the above example, it is a simple example showing the class numbers containing two variables, which can accessed and updated by the only instance of the object created. Whenever we are creating the object here, whenever we are creating the object, so at that time only we can able to access these variables. Okay, we can access that variables whenever we create the object only. Without creating the object, we can't access. Why? Because we have taken the private instance variables. It's a private. Okay. So next class, Java class. So what is class? A class is a user-defined blueprint and which represents the class is a user-defined blueprint or prototype from which objects are created. Okay. So it represents a set of properties and methods that uh, are common to all objects of one type. Using classes, we can create the multiple object with the same behavior. So, we have already discussed these concepts. Just I'm briefing. Uh, and the fourth point is so using classes we can access those methods and the properties how many times we want, multiple times we can use it. And this includes the classes for objects occurring more than once in your code. In general, class declaration can be include these concepts in order. So we have the few concepts like what can class can have. So so we can have these okay. So So a class can have the modifiers and class name and the body. So classes we have seen, right, the example. If we see the example of the class, a class can have the modifiers. Modifiers means public static void main, and the class is a keyword, and the class name. What is the here the class name we can mention class name. Okay. So and the body with the open and close braces. This is the statements. So this is the class structure, and the what is the object structure? Object can have the it is a basic unit of object-oriented programming that represent the real-world entities. A typical Java program creates the many objects which has interact by invoking methods. So the objects are what perform your code, and they are the part of your code visible to the viewer or user. An object mainly consists of these. So the object can have the different. So so in the Java objects, so these are the like object can create the so so a object is a basic unit of object-oriented program that represents the real-world entities. A typical Java program creates the many objects which you, as you know, interact by invoking methods. The objects are what 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 perform your code, and they are the part of your code visible to the viewer and user. Okay. So an object may consist of these many. An object can consist of um, the below state, behavior, and identity and method. These are the things we have to discuss. Like the object can have the behavior and state and identity and method. Okay. So so